new people or young people, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I was doing pretty good there for a minute. And then life or YouTube just decided that they were going to give me a challenge. But one thing I have found that if you keep going, you keep trying, you'll come up with a solution. The problem that they don't tell us, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. They don't really tell us how to deal with the frustration that comes from that. Okay? You need a job, you need a spouse, you need a car. You think you need things that you really don't have. So be grateful for what you have because people are grateful to see you. I'm grateful when you guys come on the channel. It does. I cannot begin to tell you how good that makes somebody feel that you showed up when nobody else did. Doesn't matter if you stayed long or not. It's just that you showed up. Some people bring happiness when they come into a room, and some people bring happiness when they leave the room. Which one are you? Okay. So uh, now, when you get to the room, don't be a wallflower. If you need a job, you should say something. One thing that people used to do in the old days, I don't know if you new people do this, but if you want to get married or something like that, you can uh, let people do what they call matchmaking. Um, what we used to believe is the creator of heaven and earth made somebody for everybody. I mean, you. Okay. So a lot of times, a lot of times, I'm guilty of this myself. We're afraid to get the one that he made for us. Oh, they're going to be too big and fat or ugly or whatever we think. So we don't want to get back in a relationship. This is specifically for relationships, okay? And it could be the same thing with jobs. Oh, the last job I had was this and that, or whatever. It's the same kind of thinking. So what we need you to do is learn one thing I learned. When you get into something, it's not what you remember. Okay. Now it may turn into something that you remember. Like for example, I realized that uh, after a while, I reach a point in a relationship. I call it like the 5 year thing. Some people call it the 7 year itch because I can literally go back over my thoughts and look at my timeline with it being in relationships. And around about year 5, there's a problem. Now I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's my PTSD, but they those thoughts are pretty consistent. This is how long I'm going to last. So I don't plan it that way because who gets into a relationship and tries to figure how long it's going to last? I mean, what's the point? Hold on, let me put on my cheaters. All right, let's see who came in. Ryan, Grand Rising. Okay, the early bird, it gets the worm. So uh, it's a funny thing about a bird. They don't usually look cold. They be sitting right on the snow. So try not to get into snowmageddon. And if you need a job, you got to go out and you got to knock on doors. Most One of the most prevalent things I have is I've received a lot of no's. Okay. And I ultimately ended up where I am comfortable. Okay. A lot of those no's I learned from my own knower was the employer telling me I won't fit. Okay. So, for example, say your family member uh, takes you to work and say, "Hey, my family member needs a job." That employer can tell if you're going to fit in or not. So the employer has an idea of what the work environment is like. So if you get a no, they're actually doing you a favor. You can't make this up because all you want is a job because you were told you need a job. We need some milk. That's the worst one to hear first thing in the morning when you don't have no money. I digress. Okay. All right. I mean, you're going out to make money. Holy moly. But be of good cheer. You want to use strategies that work. Okay. If you're out and about and you're not getting a job, okay, uh, you got turned down at a couple of places, coffee shops, places that open up early in the morning. Anything that sells breakfast, you want to look at that type place. All right. Hallway cafes. I have this little thing I do. Okay. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but it works for me every time. If I go to a place and make an application, now, now this is not bad. It just works for me. And it could just be my thinking. But I could tell when I go in by the crowd if I'm going to get the job or not because of the people that are around. I very seldom went to a job interview and went uh, really far away from where the other employees are. So I've always had a job to see the employees. Like if you go to a fast food restaurant, if you do an application, you can look at the people, all right, because they interview you right there at the table. So you can see the type of people that are there. And you know right away that with the way you work and your opinion of others and how they work, or your experience with others and how they work, you're going to be a better worker than some of these people. Because I got to tell you something, they have jobs. You don't know how long they've been there. And if they're still taking applications, chances are pretty good somebody's on the way out the door. They just don't know it yet. It takes years of experience to get this skill. So don't go out and try to apply this. You're going to have to practice. All right? You just have to pay attention. Okay. You want to find jobs where it's busiest in the afternoons. Okay. Never forget customer service jobs. Never forget telephone answering services and stuff like that there. For example, I had a job once where I worked for the Fraternal Order of Police. Okay. And I mean, I thought it was a pretty cool job because they give you the sticker that you could put on the back of your license plate, and it says FOP on it. So I would like to have that on there. So if a cop gets behind me, if he sees that sticker, it'll give me a break. Because I'm telling you right now, a cop is going to get behind me, and I'm gonna get nervous. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't really have the undertone. Oh, he pulled me over because I'm a person of color. No, there's other reasons why I don't want this person to be pulling me over. You know what I'm saying? We're riding dirty, dirty. So anyway, but I got to get there. So I'm not going to do anything to hurt myself. Okay, but I have learned something about uh, people who drink and drive. I learned that there's this thing called micro sleep. And it may have been in effect in my life, but I didn't give it the name. See, young people, you have to stop changing names. All right. So I don't know what you're going to come up with for an alternative name for microsleep. But for me, when I thought of microsleep, it ended up being when I get in the car, and if I been drinking, which I would never do anymore. I mean, I might have a social drink or something. Yesterday, I went to this one store, and or actually, it was a bar. Calm down, calm down. I was only supposed to be in there to pick up some food because it was a restaurant lounge or a bar lounge. All right, but it wasn't one of those that had tables and stuff. It was just one of those that had the bar stools. It may be a couple of tables, but the tables were a little bit higher, so you're not going to sit there for long because of the type of chair it was. Okay, now I had this desire for food. I was hungry. I didn't have the munchies or anything like that there because I don't do that. All right, and I remembered that this one place has fish sandwiches. They are huge. Okay, and the fish isn't huge, but they give you so many uh, fish parts or whatever. It ends up being a huge sandwich. So you got a huge sandwich full of fish and bread. This is not your we got the meats fish sandwich when they used to sell you two for five. I used to like those, but the problem is one day I got one and one was cooked perfect, just like you like. I don't mind how much something costs as long as it's good. And I'll pay you. Okay. I mean, the money isn't really doing me all that good. Um, Money isn't real. Okay. And I could have as much real, not real, as anybody else. Okay. So um, that's just my thing. All right. So anyway, I digress. I don't know what it is about my hair. It just sticks up. Look at that. It'll stay up there all day. They call this ether. Have you ever had someone ask you, "Can I touch your hair?" They will touch your hair. I don't know what it is about people who want to touch your hair. So if you're new and if you're under the sound of my voice, people do not want you to touch their hair. Did they ask you if they could touch your hair? No, you probably have never had anyone ask you, "Can I touch your hair?" So stop doing that. Okay, it's kind of skank. Okay, so anyway, I digress. What was I talking about? Those rabbit trails. All right, so micro sleep. We used to go out and get so drunk sometimes when we would walk. I never really had a car until I got older, like around 30. I had one, when I was younger, but drinking wasn't an issue then. And so I could drive from the Carolinas to Pennsylvania, no problem. You know how you are when you're around 20 to 21. You could drive to California if you wanted to, if you set your mind to it. Okay. So that type of drive, you don't want to have any micro sleep episodes. I don't know if you can have a micro sleep episode if you're sober. Okay. But the micro sleep episode that I'm talking about is when the car knows the way home, when you can walk from your favorite bar and only think about where you are step by step. You have no, uh, uh, you're not aware of your environment. Okay, your body just knows how to get home. You went this way so often you could get there in your sleep. Get it? Micro sleep. Okay, it gets kind of dangerous when your car does it. Okay, so so don't do that. That's bad. So It's called micro sleep. New people just keep calling it micro sleep. Okay, so that the next person that hears it doesn't have to think that you're just trying to be cool and come up with a new term or something like that. There, okay. Oh, hey Mela, how are you? You snuck in on me. I didn't see you. Alrighty then. Grand Rising. Okay, so let's go a little further back toward the beginning of the conversation. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channels. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. Most of my YouTube followers, they don't have 1,000 subscribers. So I guess the goal is for us to reach 1,000 subscribers. That's a level with YouTube, and you can do more. Like for example, you can get a donate button, okay? Or I think they call them super chats. So my thing is, um, like, say you're uh, not from my area. Say you can't just walk up to me and buy me a cup of coffee. Well, with YouTube, you could hit the donate button and you can buy me a cup of coffee, okay, which I drink several of a day. Uh, it's odd. You know how the universe is. I needed a coffee pot. I had the same coffee pot for years. Okay, there was no reason for it to be broken. None. You just put the water in, you put the carafe under it, and you go make your coffee. Okay. Now I noticed that whenever you put the carafe in, there's this little button that touches it, and that lets the water come out of the coffee thing. So it hits like this, all right, and it sets in there. That little piece is missing. I haven't seen it anywhere. Uh, Maybe I should try sweeping under the refrigerator or under the stove or something, but I haven't seen it. So when I take the coffee pot out, it'll drip on the plate. So yeah, that's ugly. So I for some reason or another, I just hold on to stuff. Young people, let stuff go. All right. If you have something for, I think the rule is if you have something for 2 years and you never used it, let it go. Give it to somebody who needs it right now, and they'll use it. Okay, that's the best case scenario. But if you keep it, even though it's not all the way right, uh, somebody has a need that you could have met. And there's a little secret that people kind of know about it, like the Fortune 500 companies or the real big companies. They have a philanthropist department where they give donations or scholarships and stuff like that. There, they learn to give back. I don't know if the Orange Man has that type of thing, but in his companies, but I'm pretty sure he does. So what you have to learn how to do is you have to learn how to give. Money is called currency. All right, that means it has to be moving. It's like a river, and whatever you have is also currency because when you got it, you were engaged in commerce. You had to go buy it. Okay, so it's not supposed to stay with you and stop with you. It has to go with the hand-me-down theory that we had when we were growing up. We got our older brothers' britchers, and okay, and then I guess the next person after us got them. Now, chances are pretty good that whenever we were growing up, we didn't stay a certain size that long because we were growing. So, if your older brother had a shirt that you like, eventually next year it's going to become yours, unless your brother decides to hold on to it, talking about it's my favorite shirt. It's not. He just doesn't want you to have it. You know how siblings are. They have their own title. It's called sibling rivalry. And it's a real thing. One of the most dangerous places to be raised is in an American family. Type that in, and I bet you see that Chat GP is going to come up with something for it. Chat GP is on off the chain. I use Chat GPT for my court cases and stuff. And actually, there's only one court case, okay, but it's been going on for a minute, and I'm holding on because Chat GPT is giving me answers and solutions that, as a regular person, I just wouldn't know to use. I'm just a guy. I don't know anything about court, okay, but I listened to a guy called Kahan Tazadak. It is spelled the way it sounds. KahanTazadaq. It he will give you ideas on how to handle situations, how he handled situations. He doesn't give legal advice. If you need a lawyer, he's going to tell you, seek yourself a competent lawyer. So if you're trying to do these things, yes, you may need a lawyer, but you're going to be exposed to terms following him or doing what he did. You're going to be learning new terms that you haven't heard before. And you're going to get an understanding of them. All right. A little bit of wisdom or a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing in some people's hands, but it's also a good thing. The Bible says that you are to buy wisdom and sell it not. And that's the truth. You're gonna learn words like aphasia. What is aphasia? Well, what it is we really don't remember what words mean. And that's because of the way we're taught. Okay. When I went into the military, they had a way of teaching you something that got into your psyche. And they had to train you like that because when you get on the battlefield, somebody can't run up beside you and say, hey, this is how you uh, clear your weapon. Okay. So they had a way of training you that you would never forget. Okay. Now, the school system, not so much. Okay. They will teach you what you need to know for this grade, but you're going to have to learn something new in the next grade. Same name, arithmetic, same name, uh, science, but it's different. All right. So science on one level is different on another level. For example, I remember in science class that if the temperature gets 2 degrees above the normal temperature for any particular season, it will be catastrophic. Now, I don't know how many of you remember that, but I'm pretty sure it was in the third grade. The third grade was a significant year for me because I learned about girls. Okay. I actually had a girlfriend. She just didn't know it. So anyway, that is one of the things that I remember. So for example, the science teacher was giving an example about pressure. And just because of the way I process things, the first thing I thought about was my bladder because I had to go to the bathroom. And so I was thinking about the pressure on my bladder at that time. I probably didn't give that as an example, but still, I, how old are you in the third grade? Kids are starting younger nowadays. So hey, if you have sons and daughters, I'm telling you, they're not going to wait until they're 13 or 14 to figure out about the birds and the bees. Just like you think your kid is the best. Oh, my kid does so well at math, and she's on the honor roll. Let me tell you something. She can be a terror to other people, and you would never see it. And to this day, I said something to my daughter. She's way older. She's 20 years younger than I am because I didn't start making babies until I was around about 19 or 20. Okay. Uh, I've never heard her actually argue or she actually manhandled her little fella there. I'm like, okay, which I'm looking at him and I'm like, you know what? He could probably beat her. I wasn't there at the time, but she had several episodes. She explained to me where she had to manhandle him. It's easier to do if you have one that's under dependency issues. Okay, dependency issues is something that you don't see when you're in it. Okay, they have fancy terms for it like self medicate, alcoholic, PTSD. Okay, but if you have it and if you are active in it, it's controlling you. Tell me one thing that dependency ever helped you do. Oh, it helped me learn how to jump out of a plane. Okay. That's not what I mean. I mean long term dependency. Look, let me tell you something. I want you to know right now that there's going to be more stuff that you're going to go through that you don't like and feel comfortable in. And you don't want to use dependency to do it. Because I tell you what, you might handle the situation then when it arises if you stay sober. Okay. The longer you're dependent, the longer the bad experience lasts. If you use it to cover, I don't know, something, then you're not actively participating in taking care of the problem because the dependency is going to take you that way. Dependency doesn't have any answers. Dependency only causes problems and troubles. Just look at the people you have who you may not think have dependency, but if you go around them and they want to party all the time or get high all the time or whatever, it's a dependency and it's a problem. And they're going to have to work with it. But if you have people who like to drink beer, when you're going to go around people who like to drink beer, that's the first problem because you're going to have to leave where you are, where it's probably calm and peaceable. This is what you want to do. I'm telling you right now. You are not going to have, you're going to have two types of problems in life that will not go away. You're going to have to live with someone else, and you're going to have to learn to live and let live. Okay? That's tough. All right. The place I live in, for a long time, I was the only person in the building. Okay? Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers so I can do things like accept donations. Okay, in case you want to buy me a cup of coffee, I have. I'm at $ Ricky Rickey D413. I think you can see my face on it, so you know you got the right one. Okay, so dependency is not your friend. Now, time goes past quickly when you're dependent because you just get in a fog. Then you have people who encourage you to stay that way because misery loves company. You shouldn't have changed that acronym for an alcoholic or a person who does drugs. Now, kind of look at it like the people who do the what is that really bad drug? If you touch it, you have an opportunity to die or to get unalived. Uh, is it fentanyl? I'm not really sure, but people know that uh, that's a problem drug. Okay, but people still do it, and they have to have some type of person that is dependent with that they're dependent on because how do you think they found a place to buy it? All right, because apparently we don't make it here in the United States because they got guys from Venezuela who come in here on these really fast boats, get close enough to the shore, and throw them in plastic bags to somebody on the shoreline. I'm not exactly sure how they do it. One thing that I thought was because of the way I think, uh, they have things that they have these boats called go fast boats. All right. And I guess they can go fast, but the faster you go, the more gas you use. The faster you use the gas. Now, I don't know how much gas they would, additional gas that they would load on these boats, but if they're coming from Venezuela, they have to have a lot of gas on those boats in order to make it to the American shoreline. Okay. So the go fast boats aren't making it to they're not bringing their fentanyl into America on these boats. What they were doing was taking them to. They were using the go fast boats to get to the tankers, all right, and then they would offload them on the tankers. Now remember, the tankers have to be in international water, so they got to be out there a good bit. Or so remember, they still had to come back. Okay, so it's a gas thing or an oil thing. Hello. So there's that. So basically, I'm giving you that example to let you know that these types of drugs and stuff come in from overseas. So it's shocking that we would have a leader who would actually do that, who would actively be like, oh, no, take them out. I mean, they might have been able to use a different uh, tone whenever they decided what they were going to do. But some people talk to you like a man. Okay. Everybody doesn't talk to you in baby talk. All right. Uh, like some of our other leaders. So, like, for example, we were really surprised that the way we perceived getting help from the president, Barack Obama, I think the majority of people of color didn't feel that he gave us any help at all. All right, because he talks in baby talk. Okay, he's really good at it. He can communicate with people on different levels. Okay, and people like him. Now the orange man, on the other hand, he 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 talks locker room stuff. He talks like men do when we're in the locker room. Okay, I don't like to spend that much time in the locker room, but if I'm in there, chances are pretty good I'm going to be talking to somebody because I'm like, hey, you know, you don't want to be there with your head on a swivel. So if you're talking to someone, now you got four eyes. You can watch their back, you can watch my back. All right. So anyway, uh, so that's how he talks. So he talks to you like you're a man. Deal with it. All right. And um, some people like it. I like being talked to like a man because I want to respond like a man. All right. So, for example, sometimes I give you answers and they're pretty raw. I'll give you a raw example. Okay. That's just so what I do. Sometimes I talk to people and I get a strong inclination that uh, I'm saying things that they have never heard before or the way that they never heard them. I'm not really sure. Okay. So that's my style. So, for example, I went into the military in the Marine Corps in boot camp. They don't talk baby talk. Okay, they talk to you like you're a man. You're out there defending your country or preparing to defend your country. And again, they will teach you. They get into your head like boxers do. Um, Sometimes when you see two boxers, hey, sometime when you see two boxers weighing in, hey Jefferson. Sometimes when you see two boxers weighing in before a fight, sometimes they'll have an altercation. And the reason why they do that is because somebody said something about your Obama. Okay. Now, depending on your age, this is going to get in your head. Don't talk about my mama. Okay, so if you are good at that, Muhammad Ali, he was good at that. Okay, he was always talking, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. He he, he was good. Hey Jefferson, all right. He was good at getting in your head. All right. So this is what I want you to do when it comes to your problems. All right. And when it comes to you dealing with dependency, all right, you're going to have to let somebody get in your head. Now, believe it or not, you may be able to do this, through AA. I always found that AA was a miserable room because I went to NA and so they were starkly different. They would, if you were new, if it was your first day being sober or something, they give you a hug. They give you a little token, which is a really big deal right now. People are investing in tokens and stuff like that. There, okay. So life has a way of coming around. Tokens back then meant something different than the tokens mean now. The tokens are for like Bitcoin and stuff like that. They're something for you to invest in. And the same thing with the tokens from NA and AA. All right. Uh, it's representing an investment. See how it works? So some things work. If you have something that works, young people, you're going to have to do that. And don't forget that if you need a job, there are places where you can go. So one time I had a girlfriend. Oh, that's okay, bro. We'll see you tomorrow. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'll like and subscribe to yours. Okay. So where was I? Okay. So for example, everybody has some form of railroad tracks in their neighborhood. Okay. If you're looking for a job, follow those railroad tracks. This is just a synopsis. Don't be going down no railroad tracks, but find out where those railroad cars stop. Probably, I don't want to call it a warehouse, but it'll definitely have a dock. Okay. And it's the same thing with the hey super cut. That's a cool name. Super cut the new Manita. Okay. But mine is simple. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's David, 2 words, and you're pretty much done. Okay. And I'll like and subscribe to yours. If I get a chance, when I look these up later, I may go ahead and just subscribe to your channel anyway because I saw your name on here. Okay. Uh, so I'm David. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help you get 1,000 subscribers because I guess that's what you're on here for. Okay. All right, Jefferson. Okay, so anyway, so, all right, Jefferson. So you never have to be sorry for anything because I tell you what, don't use the word sorry. It has a uh, it affects people differently. All right. The first thing I think is, well, what are you sorry for? Okay, I'm not looking at sorry like, oh yeah, this is a good thing to hear. So you don't want to use certain words. All right. So use words like I apologize. How would it change your meaning if you said I apologize when you wanted to say I'm sorry? That's going to solicit a different response from people. You got to get in their head. Okay. Now, if you go for a job, you want to go where the trucks and the railroad cars end up. All right. They will invariably need some help unloading the trucks, unloading the railroad cars. That railroad cars got supplies on it. Okay. You want to go to a car lot. and see if you can clean cars. One of the most impressive jobs I've ever seen was my engine had an oil leak. And for some reason or another, the oil went all over the interior of the engine cabin. Okay, now if you like your car enough to give it a nickname, when you open up the hood, you don't want to see anything like that. It was terrible. Okay, so there was a guy who actually cleans that stuff. I don't know what kind of solvent he had. I should have asked him for a can because I probably could have used it on other things. It was so good. When he showed me what he had done, my lips, my jaw dropped. I was like, oh my goodness, that was beautiful. Now, the only problem was, I don't know if he was on a payroll or anything, but that's actually a job. Okay. It's now called detailing. Okay. But he wasn't detailing the inside of the car. It was relatively new. So, and that's not what it was in there for. But the new term for it is called detailing. All right. A detailer will always need some help. All right. Because people want their cars. They don't want to give it to you and detail it, and it takes you a week to do it. Because basically, it's just cleaning out the car. Okay. And you have the right tools. You got the tools that gets in the cracks. You got the spray to actually clean something. So, for example, I'm looking at my windshield, and I really need to get that stuff that you put on your windshield, and it uh, has a clear, puts a kind of like a clear coat on it. I've thought about getting it, but since it was always presented to me in a commercial form, I just didn't levitate toward it. But I did finally get the spray that cleans the headlights, and it was remarkable. Now, the guy who was trying to sell it to me, I went to like a auto parts store. He was trying to sell me a bottle for 15, $16 or something like that. And I didn't know. I would have, just paid for it because I'm one of those kind of people. If it does what it's supposed to do, I'll pay you. Yeah, yeah, I don't care. Uh, I'm going to spend the money somewhere anyway. I ain't hiding it under my mattress. So I tend to be overcharged for stuff. So anyway, you have guardian angels that follow you around. Trust me. You got guardian angels that will be there whenever you get there. But the Bible says that goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. You just want to understand that sometimes they go before you. Okay? So the creator of heaven and earth goes before you and prepares a way for you, blah, blah, blah. Like the son of the creator of heaven and earth, he goes before you to prepare a place for you. I think he said it like this: I go before you so that where I go, you will be there with me always. That's what those types of scriptures mean. Okay, young people, scriptures mean good for you. Okay. Um, one of the reasons why I would want you to go to a church is because somebody's going to break that scripture down. If it's a Bible believing church, that's what they do. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to break down the scriptures because how many times have you said, I don't understand the Bible? So that's why you don't read it. There's actually a story like that in the Bible where a disciple or somebody who worked for the Most High or a prophet, um, he was running from something. Okay, which you'll find if you get into Christianity, that's a tough spot because of things that have been done in the name of Christianity, and it's also a tough spot because of things that have happened to Christians. Okay, and I have to tell you, I never became a Christian because I wanted to do something bad to people. And I don't imagine you do either. I liked it. I had a good experience when I did it right, when I became a Christian right, correctly, not the Christian part of the right, uh, or becoming a Christian like being part of the left, something like that. There, no. But when I did it correctly, I wanted to do it, and I wanted others to do it because it was easy. It was free. The worst part about it was what I thought about it. I got baptized 3 times before I finally did what I considered the right way. So as I started saying, "Hey, old soul," okay. So what I just when I started out saying, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Supercut." Okay, so what I like about being in this group of people was that eventually I stopped being a Christian. Okay, so I guess it's okay for you if you're new, but don't stay in it. Okay. Now that's kind of awkward because I've been in and out of churches since I was like 4 years old. So, uh, yeah, of course, somebody used to take me. I liked it. It had music in there. It had my grandma that kept her eye on me in case I needed a correction, and I generally felt safe there. And you do build long term relationships. Uh, in it. So you can get friends in there and stuff. Okay. Now the problem is when it's time for you to leave the nest. Kind of look at it like that. Um, there'll be a point where it's time for you to leave the nest. Uh, some species, when it's time for you to leave the nest, they'll actually kick you out of the nest. Some people will leave you stay in the nest until you're ready to get out there on your own. I don't think they have a time limit like we do. We want our kids out of the house when they're 18, 19. You got to go. You need a job. All right. Uh, for some reason or another, we just nurture our children probably a little longer than we should because they are like us. They're just little. But they reach the same conclusions on most of the stuff that we reach conclusions on. It just depends on how you how you raise them. If you raise them to be dependent on you, they're going to be dependent whenever they get out on their own. I have a son and a daughter. One, I believe, is more dependent on me for what I have to offer than the other one does. But one of them lives so far away from me, and we really don't talk all like that. It If I just go from my last experience with them, that would be a maximization. Okay, but either way it goes, I love them both to death. I love them both to tears. I love them equally, but I talk to them differently. Okay, so anyway, I digress. So let's go back to dependency, and uh, it starts out good, but it stops you from doing whatever it is, whatever track you were on. I don't care what you think about it. I could have a couple of drinks with my meal. I can be a social drinker or whatever you think. That's not that's not what's happening. Okay, and you can ask people who look at you. That's not what's happening. I was diagnosed as having anxiety, and the medication that they gave you for anxiety, you're taking it like, okay, I'm a manic depressive. They said I should take this, and so I did. And I had a choir director ask me one day, okay, are you taking any medication? And I was like, yes, because I'm transparent. I wasn't thinking about HEPA. Okay. And the problem was, I was displaying behavior that was not like the rest of the choir members. Okay. And shortly after that, of course, I came off of the medication because I wanted to be in the choir. I actually have a pretty nice voice. Wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? I digress. Okay, uh, so what you think of dependency and what people see when you are full blown exercising your dependency, people don't see you like that. Okay, what is that song by? I think it's Hall and Oates. What a fool believes he sees. No wise man has the power to reason away. So, I mean, it is what it is. All right. So, whatever you're thinking, that's not what's up. You're doing something opposite. You're pushing your dreams away because you get a dream at a certain time in your whatever, and that's when that dream should probably be starting. Okay. When Moses got his dream or his experience on the mountain, that's when that dream was supposed to be happening. That's when he led the people out of bondage while he was having that dream. He didn't dream about it all his life. I'm pretty sure if he dreamed about anything, he was dreaming about getting arrested. Because back then he had done something pretty serious. Okay, kind of like we got now with these files and stuff coming out. These people have done some things that are really pretty serious, and I'm pretty sure that they have had dreams of somebody knocking on the door, so going, "Hey, I got a warrant for your arrest." You know what I'm saying? So, um, one of the things that you want to be, and you're going to find that you're going to get a solution faster to your dilemma and your problems, is to be transparent. Don't cover it up. Okay. Uh, I got a problem. All right. And start dealing with it now. Okay. And people can tell if you dealt with something because there's going to be a point where uh, they're going to ask you, you know, and if you have self defense, what business is it of yours? Oh boy, here we go. So you're not really making progress. Remember, the whole problem is how people are perceiving what you're doing, how people see you when you're under the influence of something. Okay, so you still find yourself under the influence of something for years, and people have found that there are certain ways that you respond, and that's what they expect. There's nothing worse than being an alcoholic and someone and you quit and then you talk to someone who is still under the influence. There's nothing worse than that, and you just want to say things to get them out of that, and they just ain't ready, just like you want. And they might not say, "Hey, well, I'm not ready. I'm going to follow this out." They might not explain it that way, but they are in what they call denial. Like denial river, and that's kind of apropos because Denial River is the longest river in the world. And if it isn't the longest river, it's one of the longest rivers. Okay? So if you're new and if you're coming into the room now, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee, I'm at $Ricky and the letter D 413. That's RICKEY, the letter D 413. Okay? I greatly appreciate it. Once I get 1,000 subscribers, I'll get a donate button on there, I think. And you know what? As a matter of fact, instead of me just keep saying that, I'm going to go ahead and ask Chat GPT because sometimes it takes YouTube a little. It takes them a minute to answer your question. But I digress. They do have millions of subscribers, so um, um, I can understand it. Okay, so full stop on that. Number two, nothing is going to be easy. The things that will be easy are the things that you are natural at. If you are a natural beauty, you're just going to look fine without makeup. And if you only highlight your lips or your eyes or something like that, you don't need all that gobbledygook on your face like the people in Japan or something would do, because they put that white stuff all over their face, and oh boy. Okay, so if you're natural beauty, there's nothing. It isn't a problem for you. You wouldn't even think about ugly. Okay, an ugly person might think about sparsening their looks up a little bit. Okay, I told my neighbor that the other day. She wants me to not listen to TV or something. One of the worst combinations in the world is somebody who watches TV living next to somebody who doesn't. That you got yourself a problem. Okay. If you are the landlord, you should put that on your application. Hey, how often do you watch TV? Now, what we do is we have the internet. Okay. But you have to understand that the older people who have the internet, we came, we used to use the old fashioned internet, which was basically television. It was free. You just turn it on and you can watch it all day. When they were young, you'd have to stop watching it at 12 o'clock. But well, when it first came out, we didn't have video recorders and CDs and stuff like that. So you couldn't record your favorite TV show or something. So you had to wait pretty much till, well, I don't know. I think the TV came back on at 6 o'clock or something. Okay. So older people watch it a little bit differently, but the younger people have the same uh, expectation of it. They have to have it on. If someone says something to you like, you always have to have something on in the background, or if you did not diagnose yourself as I always have to have something on in the background, you got that honestly. Because when they introduced television to us, it would be on constantly. Okay, especially if you were in a family that had more than one or two children. Okay, one of the problems that we had was turn off that TV and go to sleep. Okay, we had that problem. If we had a TV in our bedroom, which chances are pretty good, most of us didn't. Most of us had a television in the living room. So since the living room floor is not as comfortable as the bed, chances are pretty good you would uh, not go to sleep watching TV all night. But because the TV shut off at a certain time, and all you will hear is static and that white noise screen. Okay, so we didn't have that, but now they have the internet, and what they decided to do, young people, you may not know that for this is they had to make a deal that the internet would be affordable to people because you know how they do when they have something, they're gonna uh, make the price go up year after year. You know, like insurance. Okay, how they do that with insurance. Well, we had to go up on your insurance because your state or something has higher whatever. Uh, like in Florida, they have uh, probably a disproportionate amount of senior citizens. All right. So anyway, I digress. So certain areas and certain cities and states are known for certain groups and certain ages. All right. So the insurance company will tell you, hey, we had to go up on your insurance because of the state you live in, which I don't, I, I don't believe that. Okay. But anyway, it is what it is. People got to make a living. Who am I? All right. If it was a problem, I would just self-insure. So you want to watch Kahan Talk to Doc on YouTube, and you can learn how to actually self-insure yourself. Now, the problem is the words that they use. You're not going to understand them it'll be overwhelming trying to learn these words, and you're just not going to believe it. That can't be true, but he's been doing it for years. And if it wasn't true, I'm pretty sure he would be like a Bernie Madoff. Eventually, what he was doing wasn't true, and he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Okay, and most times, if you are corrupt, you're going to get caught with your hand in the cookie jar. That's just what it is. Because out of all these cookie jars that are before you, eventually you're going to put your hand in the one that's a trap. What the deceiver does is he places stumbling blocks in front of you. And eventually you're going to hit that stumbling block. It's going to look like any other block. I watched this one movie. What was that movie where the people were in a race to uh, so they would play games. The games got really serious towards the end. I remember this one game. It started out with a simple game. Everybody would be together in a group, and they would look at this big doll or whatever. And the doll would say, uh, "Ready, get set, go," and the doll would turn around, and then everybody would run. You wanted to see as far as you could get because the person who would be accepted, or out of all the people, you would get accepted if you made it to the finish line or crossed the finish line. The problem was uh, when that doll turned back around. It doesn't. It could turn right around. It could say go, turn around, and then turn right back around and say freeze or something. And anybody who would move in this movie would get okay. I think they're doing either a part two or a part three to that movie. So I'm sure people are going to watch it because it had a surprise ending. I was actually surprised, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I will tell you that the first movie was an example of sibling rivalry. Okay, whew, boy, let's get some heat going on in here. All right, so uh, fortunately, either of those two had dependency. I don't think that the one that was the black sheep, I don't think he had a dependency, but if he did, it wasn't the main thing that they were trying to teach you about him. He ended up being moral in the end. So it's the same thing with you. If you have a dependency, you may make some immoral choices. Anybody who's any age older than you got secrets. Okay, and the secrets are usually going to be immoral. Just don't be surprised when you hear the orange man's name is on the list more than anybody else's. Okay, I mean you kind of don't want a leader that does that, but hey, that's just not a perfect world. Look at what Moses done. Okay, why would you want that type of leader? But I don't know. People still followed him. Hundreds of thousands of people still followed him to freedom. You're going to find out that if you are going to become holy, that don't mean you don't do immoral things. Take the pressure off yourself. Become holy. It's better for you. Okay? If you are holy, kind of look at yourself like being in a container or having a hedge of protection uh, around you. Would you do bad things or could you do bad things? I'm sorry, yes. And it's going to be because of things that people set out for you. It's probably going to come from you being in the wrong place at the right time. It's just going to be an immoral uh, stumbling block. All right, some get a lot of it. The orange man, he's just like being there. But there are other people that may not be as famous. They kind of like being there a lot too. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if when it comes to crime and punishment, I do know that the court system does. They just do too much. Okay, I mean, once you get known for doing something like that, that's enough. Uh, I mean, you lose your livelihood. It's kind of like being a Karen. If you catch a Karen at the moment when she's weakest or whatever, she wants to argue about a parking space or something. This is why you have to handle your issues when they come up, because they'll come up later at an inappropriate time. So, okay. Uh, okay. Holy moly! So I don't want to tell you my immoral issues. We used to call them skeletons in our closet. Okay, young people. So if you ever hear that term, that's pretty much what it means. Nobody's going to have a skeleton in their closet that looks like they got a, a Brinks truck was in front of them and they didn't close the door and the bag fell out and the driver didn't see it. So you were far enough behind them to brake or slow down, kind of like on a city street or something, not like on the highway. And you got out and picked that bag up and put it in your car. Now it's marked Brinks bag on it. You saw it fall out of the truck, but you take it home and keep it. Now, apparently, there's some type of issue of getting them bags open. I wouldn't know. So, you determine that you can't get the thing open, so you're going to put it in your closet. No, it isn't that type of skeleton in your closet unless you kept it for 20 or 30 years. Okay, they say that the lottery, everybody knows it's a 1 in a million chance of hitting it, and the higher the higher the money gets, the higher the odds of winning. Okay, so instead of it being 1 in a million, now it's like a chance of 1 in 4 million. Okay, and I don't know what makes us think we're 1 in 4 million. I know we're special, and I know we're holy, but we're not going to hit that. So the conspiracy theorists believe that this is a way to, number one. This is something you probably don't talk about every day, but number one, they believe that the powers that be, the alphabet groups, came up with this way to catch people from the future. Okay, and because everybody will come back from the future and they'll want to play the lottery because they'll know the winning numbers. Okay, so you might get away with that a couple of times, but eventually they're going to figure out who you are and they're going to catch you and they're going to figure that you are a time traveler. Isn't that something? So the powers that be, they got systems. You can't really beat the system, okay? But you can learn how to survive in it. Don't get frustrated because you're in something. You were born into a system. The Bible calls it like this: you were born in a sin. You're a sinner. Okay, so you're going to sin. That's what sinners do. Cows move. That's what they do. Bulls don't. So you'll know what you're standing in front of. If it's a cow or a bull, a cow you can tip when it's asleep. I would not suggest that you try to tip a bull that's just standing still at night. That's not going to go well for you. So anyway, I digress. So that's my story. I think I gave you enough now to to get into your head. I'm not trying to brainwash you or anything. I'm just trying to help you uh, get ready. You'll do better if you are in a race, a swimming meet, and you do better if you warm up first. It's the same thing with being in a boxing match. You do better if you warm up first. It's like I'm going to court. You do better if you have documents and stuff that you're going to talk about or enter. All right. So the thing with the court documents, it's going to have a lot of words in there that will trick you. Okay. So for example, they'll ask you, did you harm anyone? Okay. Now harm to you means one thing, but in court language, it means something altogether different. It means did, why didn't you do something? When you think, did you harm someone? You'd be like, no, I didn't harm anyone. Okay, so if you say no, you didn't harm anyone, then it tells them something different. That's all. It's called aphasia. We used to look up words. We used to try to figure stuff out. But the older we get, things are done for us automatically. And as a result, we're going to end up getting these robots that it's going to take over our jobs. Now, I don't know how many of you who have read the 2030 agenda and the current agenda that we're in. We are in an agenda. We are in a plan. They have things planned out for us. So what you want to do is if you don't show that you can control your uh, situation because you're a dependent, somebody's going to make decisions before you, for you. So you're going to have to learn how to become the person that handles your own decisions. You have to man up and you have to speak with them that way. You might not have all the words and stuff, but they have a little known thing that your behavior is implied. So, for example, if they want to know, okay, what have you done since the last time you came in here? Okay, you could tell them what you did. Okay, that they might be able to check. You know, you get a couple of references or something like that there. All right, or you can imply it. Your behavior implies if you are a sovereign or not. Okay? So they might throw something at you like being a sovereign citizen. A sovereign may not have a dependency. All right? So that's what you want to be. You want to be an adult. A child is a child in the court system or a defendant or something. They will believe what they're saying. Okay? And like a child, you believe you're right. The Bible says it like this: when I was a child, I thought like a child, but now I'm a man and I think like a man. So there's two different ways that you can present yourself. All right, you don't have to have facts and dacks and packs and cracks. You can just present yourself like an adult. You can come up with answers not that they necessarily want to hear, because if you come up with answers that they want to hear, that makes you a dependent or a defendant or a pro se litigant. All right, so you want to come up with answers that show you're in control of your situation. Okay, so for example, for my case, they made a mistake. All right, so now they had to put everything on hold so that a higher court can go look over their mistake, which was, to me, what was as obvious as the nose on my face. See this big old personal color nose? I knew when they did it that it was wrong. I asked my assistant, "Hey, that's double jeopardy," and he said, "No, it's not." Now, I didn't know this then, but there is something that is similar to double jeopardy, but people use the term double jeopardy. So it's the same feeling, but it's not called double jeopardy. It's called something else. And when I heard it, I should have wrote it down. Okay, so if I, as an adult, could have come up with that word, I could apply that in my defense, not double jeopardy. Because when I found out what double jeopardy actually was, depending on your court case, it is not double jeopardy. But I also knew I had two things going for me. I also know that if you go to court, they're going to offer you a deal or a plea. And what they had done was, since I didn't take the plea, what the plea was going to be is, hey, we'll take one of these charges and put them together. All right. So, for example, if you run into the back of somebody's car, you also did something else. You might cause them a inconvenience of having to go get their car fixed. They got to catch a bus. So that's where you get two charges. Okay, for the same thing. All right. So what they do in the plea is they'll say, "Hey, we'll take one of these charges off." So once you decide not to take that deal, those they don't do that. Now they charge you with two. I got a problem with that because uh, it's being applied inappropriately. Because if on one hand it was offered for you to accept their deal, if you accept their deal, that means you are becoming a dependent or a defendant, and they will have jurisdiction over you. So you don't want to do that. So you'd be like, no, I'll take it to court. Let's have a jury trial. All right. So, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things that you're going to have to learn. And if you like learning, instead of just going with the education that you're getting in the school system, teach yourself. Okay. Look how much stuff you taught your son or daughter that didn't have anything to do with school. Like you taught them to don't chew with your mouth open. All right, that's something that we all had to learn. Okay, because food actually tastes better when you chew with your mouth open. It is. We all did it. So it probably is a safe bet to say that food tastes better when you chew with your mouth open. Blah blah blah. All right, so you teach them how to look both ways. You teach them how to ride a bike. If you don't have a bad back, holy moly! Oh, hold on. If you holy moly, so if you didn't teach them, you probably got um, their sibling to do it. All right, so anyway, you're going to learn it every day. The ultimate way to learn is through the Holy Spirit. Remember, you're holy, but you're doing things that might not be considered to be holy. So that means that people are looking at holy wrong. Okay, I want you to look at holy as being set apart. Okay, to receive instruction that others don't receive. The Bible says it like this: the Holy Spirit will teach you great and wonderful things that you need to know. What it didn't tell you was what you were going to be doing at the same time. Remember the two charges from one? There is two things that are going uh, uh, that you are being taught. What is that scripture? He who believes in me, greater things shall he do, because I go to the Father, because I go to the Father. Well, just type some of that into your little URL and see he who believes in me and the things that I do, greater things than these shall he do, because he believes on me and I go to the Father. Something like that. But it's a really cool scripture. I have it by my exercise uh, template or my exercise plate. It's one of those plates that vibrate like this. It feels great. So I wouldn't know to get anything like that because what we learned is go running. You know what I'm saying? High impact sports. Holy moly, we didn't have all these jazzy machines that you guys got. Now, you ever go into a exercise place? Holy moly. So anyway, I digress. They look like amusement parks. So anyway, that's probably why people exercise. They become junkies. They just exercise all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's snowing outside. I've seen my walkers or my power walkers. I've seen them out in the snow. And nothing's more profound than seeing somebody walking around and they got shorts on and it's not really short weather. You know what I'm saying? These people have a dependency on exercising. That's just how it is. So, okay. So anyway, I digress. So I think I've given you enough. I've given you some people to listen to. I've talked about the creator of heaven and earth, and you being in a situation that you're not really in control of. You young people call some of the ways that people describe it is like, okay, that's a little absurd, but I get the point. Okay, you're just in something, and at this point in your life, it's written in that you won't have a job. That that's all it is. There shouldn't be any matrix that says you're never going to get a job. You could do well to learn that no doesn't mean never, and no is not bad. Just remember an earlier example that if you get you're going to get told no more than anything else, so don't not go. Just expect to get told no. Okay, and it isn't because of you. I mean, hey, you graduated or you came out of school, emancipated yourself and stuff like that there. Because you don't think you're stupid. Okay? You think that you could figure stuff out. Hey, how hard is it to figure out how much is 7 times 7? You know what I'm saying? What do you want to spend 12 years of doing the same math? Okay. But anyway, I digress. Maybe it's 6 years. Maybe it's 4. I don't know. No, I call it 6 because I did do some college, but uh, uh, blah blah blah. Okay, so don't give up. Uh, just figure out where you are. Figure out what to do about it. Ask people. One thing I found out about when it's cold, people talk more. They're friendlier. I don't know what it is. One thing I figured out when people are when it's nice outside, they also talk more. You hear kids playing and stuff in the background. It's just something about those two temperatures that make people more social. So you're going to have to ask somebody. Don't be an island unto yourself. Like that. Um, islands do tend to be isolated. Okay, and there's something going on there. Okay, that's because you don't really have isolation as a thing that you participate in. You're always involved in public. Okay, the goal for the schools is to get you to be in schools, social settings. That there's 22 people to a class. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, you're interested in girls. Did I mention that part? So it kind of starts like when you're in a kindergarten, they get you used to being in a group, and you're not really used to being in a group because you only had to worry about the attention, getting the attention of your mother. That won't work in school because you're trying to get the teacher's attention. Is you got to teach 8 other people or get other 8 other people want to get their attention. All right, so you have to learn that. Okay, so if you learn that, you are going to be a social person. Okay, and even if you decide to be a an introvert, um, how are you going to know that you're an introvert unless you've been social? All right, so maybe you didn't do so well in it. Everybody doesn't. Okay? The popular ones do, but you may hear something about the popular ones how when they go somewhere and don't pay for their meal or something like that. Okay, or famous people don't have to pay for their meals and stuff like that. There, I don't know. I almost paid. I almost always pay for my meals, but what a surprise when somebody ahead of me pays it forward. And I've tried to do that on occasion. I think it works the best in a drive-through scenario where the person behind you probably isn't buying $100 worth of product. So But you can ask the cashier, hey, I want to pay for that person's order behind me. All right. So I don't know if introverts do that, but that is something that a extrovert might do. It is in giving that you receive. You're just going to have to give. You're going to have to give of your time. You're going to have to give of your understanding. You're going to have to learn to share your space with people. You learned that when you were growing up. I don't know if you remember this or not, but for a long time, if you had a big enough family, brothers slept together and sisters slept together. And if it was really off the chain, a younger brother and a older sister might sleep together. That's bad news, let me tell you. Don't do that. There's no reason for a boy to ever sleep at any age in a bedroom with a girl. Okay, if you got to do anything, you get you a sleeping bag or a foam mattress, and you put his big wobble head on that. Okay, but he just gonna have to complain. But you do not want them in the same bed, and you really don't want them to be in the same room where they can close the door. The first thing I did when I got my first place was my son and his favorite cousin. They wanted to stay with me. You know how scenarios are. So anyway, the first thing I did was took off the doors. I'm like, oh no, I didn't have any particular experience that would make me want to do that because when we grew up, we did have doors, but we were way younger than being teenagers. So I kind of knew, but they outsmarted me. I'm thinking, okay, I got it. So when I came past the room, all I had to do was look in it. But imagine my surprise when I found out, because of sibling rivalry, that one of them knew that whenever I would come in, they would just tell their uh, company lay on the other side, lay on the floor on the other side of the bed, because they never went in their rooms, but I would look and make sure, hey, I hope Johnny in here making babies. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know why that would bother me because I'm not the one who had the baby, but still, you didn't want that because you're the oldest. So I guess your job is to be the person that keeps them apart. I don't know. So anyway, I think we covered a lot. So don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will like and subscribe to yours. Uh, thank you.